I expect now, Laurie, you're an expert on Article 48. For those who don't know, do you want to explain a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I read it. I read about it a while ago in the Matt Slater piece. He's really on the ball with this kind of thing, and yeah. But this week I'd kind of done a bit more digging into it, and it's basically a statute as per sort of UEFA regulations, where all member nations of UEFA can actually have a slot that's 2.5 hours where they don't show any live football on TV. The idea being it's to protect crowds at the game, so not only at Old Trafford but also at any local stadiums nearby, sort of lower league level. So Salford are playing at the same time at 3 o'clock, for example, that game. So would somebody, if the Ronaldo match was on TV, would they rather stay at home or go to the pub and watch that than go to Salford and watch their local team? And then also there is a sort of smaller perhaps angle to it in that some people play football at 3 o'clock on a Saturday in Sunday League, so the kind of grassroots protection is something that they're after. And it was actually the broadcasters as well as the FA and the Football League that got together and decided about this 2:45 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. slot, where it's a blackout for matches to be shown in the UK, and it's just stood the test of time throughout all that period. And another angle actually that I hadn't really appreciated was that you can't show any football at that time. So it could be Bundesliga games, it could be La Liga games that you can't show in England. And that's already had an effect on one Ronaldo game when he was making his debut for Juventus away to Chievo. So that kicked off at 5 p.m. So the first 15 minutes of that game weren't allowed to be shown on English TV, which is kind of mad, I suppose. And La Liga tried to challenge it, or rather, sorry, 11 Sport that was showing La Liga tried to challenge it a few years ago and showed a couple of rounds of La Liga on UK channels at 3 o'clock, and basically UEFA and the FA pushed back and said no thanks, and they kind of went and accepted that. So it's a topic it's caused a lot of debate, and not many countries do it. It's only actually England, Scotland, and I think Montenegro that actually enforce this. Every other country they sort of show football throughout the day, throughout each week. So it's perhaps it looks archaic to some people, but for sure there's a lot of people that are very strongly opposed to it changing, particularly up and down the Football League, owners that really value gate receipts and people actually coming to the stadiums.
Yeah, I do get it. It's completely understandable. But I do remember tuning in when the La Liga used to be on Sky to watch El Clasico once, and just the first 15 minutes wasn't shown, and then missing 2 goals. It kind of takes away a little bit in that respect. I don't think it needs to be quite as long, because you don't want to be missing the first 15 minutes of a game. That makes no sense at all.
I also think to echo that, it seems bizarre. I mean, I'm fully support it in the UK, but it seems bizarre to me to extend it to matches abroad, because if the focus is on gate receipts, I think there is a desire anyway to follow your team, and that's only been heightened because of the pandemic. I mean, I know from personal experience, people are absolutely desperate to get to football games, so I think extending it to a game that you can't really get to, I just think I think that maybe is a tad excessive when Dan's missing the first 15 minutes of El Clasico.
Not on at all. Though. I remember being very, very upset. Ruining the rest of the game for me. I don't even think there was any goals for the rest of the game.
It's just the vibe.
I think they were the only goals. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Flo, because I know obviously I support Premier League team. I'd never not go to Villa Park on the basis that there was another game on telly. But it is the grassroots level and the lower league level that I guess it affects.
Yeah, they've had. I think they've done some research into it, but clubs are very careful about opening Pandora's box. It is how Sean Harvey, who was the chief exec of the EFL, put it to me. He said that they trialed. They tried to do a scheme where basically, this is another clause, sorry, of Article 48, where it actually only comes into effect if the top 2 divisions, if 50% of those games are staged at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. So during international week, obviously top 2 divisions are paused basically. So theoretically, there's no ban on the 3 p.m. blackout. Clubs could be shown at that time. But so he proposed to League One and League Two clubs, shall we do that? Should we show some matches at 3 p.m. on a Saturday and see if it affects gate receipts or not? And the clubs basically pushed back on that. A few clubs did take them up on the offer. I think they had their on the iFollow app that they could show their games. And apparently there wasn't much conclusive evidence either way to say yes, this actually does really affect gate receipts, or no, it doesn't. So I think clubs are kind of reluctant to sort of peek behind the door on that one.
not just focusing on the Ronaldo element, because I think in reality, people are so desperate to get to football games. Like I said, I don't think Ronaldo's debut is enough to pull them away. So looking at the bigger picture, Laurie, how do you think you reach a solution on this? Because I think as the game grows and becomes more global, people are still going to seek out illegal streams in order to get their fix of a 3 p.m. kickoff. So how do we reach a place where everyone's happy, I guess?
Yeah, I suppose it's just minimizing the chance of piracy or the unrest. I suppose, clearly there's loads of illegal streams, and people, I'm sure, will be going to pubs at 3:00 that are managing to shut the blinds and get some, stream from Greece or whatever. But I kind of feel like we should protect the democracy of English football. I think it is much more evenly spread than it is in other nations, and clearly we have issues ourselves. That it's not a nirvana over here where you've got certainly a massive disparity in financial resources of different clubs. So that's why I kind of my instinct is to kind of protect the 3 p.m. blackout. I mean, I agree with you on the radio side of things. It's actually might be quite wonderful for people to tune in and hear it, with their ears, and kind of they can picture the sounds, and then they can watch it on Match of the Day later, and see the highlights. I mean, not that also should be said that Sky will show the game pretty much in full from about 5:15. They have a match choice each day, and I'm pretty sure that game will be the one selected. So people don't have to wait too long. I know it's not live, so perhaps that's what people enjoy. I mean, also, I suppose as we go along, maybe I was surprised personally. I don't know what you guys thought, but the comments were very much against the 3 p.m. blackout. It felt like on The Athletic, you had quite a few people that were arguing for it to sustain, but it felt like the majority were sort of saying this is an archaic rule. We should be able to watch football when we want. And I don't know if that's because, we've got a lot of international subscribers where that is their only way to watch the game. So they just feel like it is a bit odd, even though that obviously they will be able to watch it, in America. The irony being that everywhere else in the world, they can watch this apart from Cuba and North Korea. But
Dan, do you think maybe their comments are because they are fans of a big club that maybe never been, they're a bit out of touch? I don't know.
Because I'm just being completely selfish this weekend, so I'm not going. Villa are playing Chelsea 5:30 on Saturday. I'm not going this weekend, so I'm going to be at home. I would like the option to be able to watch that 3 p.m. game, because I'm not someone who's going to go to a lower league ground anyway. So I'm not. Like, it's not taking me away from doing that, because I wouldn't do it anyway. Do you see what I mean? There'll be people who just want to watch it. And the other thing I was thinking, and I'm just thinking out loud again here, is that obviously we're podcasters, journalists. You want to watch as much football as you can and take in as much football as you can live, and it's hard to do that. And I do a lot of podcasts that are general Premier League, and I obviously don't sit there and watch every Premier League game because I can't. So, but I want to be able to. A lot of my podcasts are going to be about Ronaldo. So I want to be able to watch that game in full. So selfishly, if we could get rid of the blackout for one weekend, I'd be all for that.
What do you think is the answer there? Because I basically didn't answer your question, though, did I?
Well, yeah, it's just it's really interesting one. I wonder if it's they would like every game, or is it just because they want to see Ronaldo so much? I think it's hard to work out where they necessarily don't see why it's so important. And I think George puts it really well, why it is so crucial that this exists. But at the same time, Dan's point about if you're a United fan, and I think Sean Harvey mentions that in the piece, would you actually be weighing up whether to go to watch Salford City or staying at home to watch Manchester United? I personally think that, a bit like Dan, if you were a Salford City fan, you would go and pay to watch Salford City because you want to go to football. And that's only increased because of the pandemic. Like at QPR, my club, people are literally fighting over tickets to go to Reading away. This is like, this is peak hysteria of being at football matches. So yeah, it's a really intriguing one, but I wonder why people are so maybe out of touch. Seems harsh, because obviously people understand the reality of the football pyramid, but I wonder why they just think Article 48 is so archaic. Because I think you can still see its purpose even in 2021.
I guess the other thing as well that, again, I'm just thinking out loud here. I've gone completely off script this whole podcast, pretty much. But you're enabling something that's bad about football to happen this weekend now, because ticket touts and people shifting tickets for thousands of pounds because they're taking advantage of the fact that nobody can actually see this game unless you're a Manchester United fan or a Newcastle fan with a ticket. So there's also that aspect of it as well, that other people are profiting off this.
I wonder though how many people will buy a ticket for that, for an extravagant amount of money. I mean, I know people that are going.
You'd have to be like a insane Ronaldo fan, surely, to do that.
I think this is such a unique set of circumstances that, there's that, just this one thing dictate what the general sort of rule should be, at all times. I know, like I say, I know a lot of people that are going and they will not give up their ticket for any amount of money. So I think there's a lot of high proportion of season ticket holders that go to Old Trafford. So the kind of, I wonder just how many tickets. And listen, we'll see. I'll maybe try and ask people at the game. I'm sure they won't tell me if they've bought for tickets out, but they might be able to do a bit of anecdotal evidence when we get there. But you are right, Dan. You don't want to see tickets being sold for that amount of money. It's not right. But I guess I would say, if somebody's willing to pay that amount of money, you'd think that they have that amount of money to spend, and I guess it's up to them a little bit if they want to go down that route.